Employees stay in organizations and in jobs for leaders they respect, not leaders that they fear. So let's grow our employees. Let's give them at least the opportunity to grow. And you'd be surprised, they may stick around for longer than you think. I find the more human you can be, the better connection that you can have. Hey everyone, John here. Welcome to today's episode. Have you ever wondered why some employees stay with their jobs, their companies for a long duration, or been talking to a friend or a colleague and they've come from an organization that they've been with for a very long time? And you start asking yourself, why can't I find one of those organizations? Or as a leader, as a business owner, how do I create that organization that people want to come work for? And that was what season 17 covered. We covered how to create an organization or find an organization that is impactful, that you can see yourself in the mission, in the vision. You like what you're doing, you enjoy what you're doing, and there's a culture of development. And you don't have to be one of those boisterous or out front leaders. One of the things that we discussed in this season was how you can be a behind the scenes, what I call a quiet giant. And we've all seen those leaders out there that just lead really, really well from behind. They support their organization, they support their businesses and their people, but for the most part, they're just behind everybody, clearing out debris that's in the path, or, shielding the business, the organization from those outside pressures. Those types of leaders are what we focused on, along with how to create organizations and workplaces that people want to come work for. So in this season recap, we're going to take everything that we've learned in the past 10 episodes, and I'm going to deliver just a real brief recap of the topics, the trends, and give you again those applications, those things that you can walk away from in these recaps that really, I want you to go back and take a listen. If one of these topics that we mentioned today interests you, go back and take a listen to the full episode. We keep them short, we keep them brief, anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, so not a lot of time. We deliver high value in those things, and they come absolutely free. Again, if the content that we're delivering to you, if it meets your purpose, if you like what you're hearing, do us a favor and share it, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, give us indications that you want more. It means a lot to us, and it helps the platform push this episode out to as many people in our podcast, our channel, out to as many people as we possibly can, so we can help others get to where they're going. So the first trend we're going to talk about in this season is labeled the quiet shift. And employees stay in organizations and in jobs for leaders they respect, not leaders that they fear. And when you look at a command and control type organization where it's led top down, I have authority over you because I've been here in this organization longer, or I have so many people underneath me and I've come up the ranks of the organization. So what employees hear and they see is there's no growth potential here unless I want to stick around for 10 years. Is that an organization that you want to work for? And is that an organization that you want to have? A business that you want to have where people feel you're going to be promoted based on seniority, not on how hard you work or what they know or the experience that they bring to the table. So again, this quiet shift around, and they don't tell you, and that's why it's called the quiet shift. They'll just go look for another opportunity and then hand you their 2-week resignation and let you know that they're leaving. And I've seen this more and more over probably the past really since 23, 24-ish, where people are just upright leaving organizations. They're not sticking around anymore 10, 20, 30 years with the same company. They want to go experience new things. They want to go grow in different areas. And if your company isn't positioned well and doesn't have good leadership, good bosses, and good management that people want to work for, they are going to go look for other opportunities. So leaders that make decisions with integrity, leaders that are consistent, those are companies, those are organizations that people are going to want to stick around when they feel the company and the leader, their direct boss, has their best interests at heart, the chances of them sticking around increase significantly. So let's talk about some areas that this quiet shift, you can make impacts to your organization. One area is identify places within the organization where you currently use authority over influence. So for work-life balance, maybe you have core hours of 7 to 3:30 or 8 to 4:30. You got to work 8 hours a day no matter what. A lot of organizations have gone towards a flexible work schedule where you get an RDO, a regular day off. Maybe it's a Friday, maybe it's a Monday. You can flex your time in case you have appointments that you need to get to during the day, or maybe in the morning and come in the afternoon and not have to take a full day of leave. Those are opportunities where you are using your authority as the business owner, really, to dictate work schedules. Now, if you have a manufacturing job, or there are certain times in certain jobs where you have to be there when the business opens till the business closes, but where are you able to make some accommodations there? That's just one example. But identify one area where you are using authority over influence to make decisions. The second one here is to adjust one of those key policies or practices within your organization to maybe identify work-life balance or integrity, or, your ability to think differently about the norm. That's going to go a long way, letting the employees know that you can change. You're looking to improve the organization. A lot of times I question people that have left organizations, and their number one reason is I just didn't see any growth potential. The organization maybe wasn't growing in itself. So how was I going to grow within there? I mean, that's good feedback for a business owner and a leader to hear. And you can grow employees without fear of losing them. I think the number one excuse that bosses and managers and leaders give is, well, if I train them, they'll leave. If you don't train them, they're going to leave anyways. So let's grow our employees. Let's give them at least the opportunity to grow. And you'd be surprised, they may stick around for longer than you think. So that's the first one, making this quiet shift into where can we look for areas maybe where we're leading with authority, and then what are some practices and policies that we can look to adapt, bring up to the current times. The second one, how do we create this stability that employees crave? And we had a couple episodes around performance-based leadership versus predictable and stable leadership. When we are in a high-stakes environment, and some people thrive on this, where you have high metrics, high goals, you got sales. You see this a lot in the sales or the marketing industry where, it's a constant churn. You're wanting to bring in clients, you're wanting to bring in those ideas, you're wanting to create templates and implement out, as many customers as you possibly can, whether it's selling a program or selling products, whatever that looks like. So there's sales goals, there's marketing goals. The car sales industry is a key indicator of this, where it's performance-based leadership. People tend to stay in those jobs shorter duration than organizations that are predictable and stable. I love the high stress environment that I've worked for in the past, whether that's in the healthcare field, working in an emergency room, or that's in a restaurant business where you get that nightly rush, or in the day, the lunch rush, and it's that high stakes, put the food out, make sure it's quality, so that way you minimize cost, right? Those are high stakes environments. However, you can only work in there for so long. I found myself looking for something new, looking for other opportunities. As I get older, I want more predictable and stable leadership. I don't want an owner of a company that I'm working for coming in and having some crazy idea every 4 to 6 months that's taking us off in different tangents. Now, that is not to limit innovation, but from an employee standpoint, I'm always have to figure out, okay, what's next? And that anxiety, that pressure that builds up on some people, they just can't handle it. And so they end up leaving the organization. So here, creating a stable work environment, just like at home, if you think of your home environment, your personal life, how stable is it? Are you moving every 1 to 2 years? Is it a job that's forcing you to move? Is it a family? Is it your career? Whatever you're looking to, how stable an environment is predicts a lot about how long people will stay. So a couple actions here. Try it on. I want to take a quick break from the episode today to talk about a couple things. The first thing, less than 40% of our listeners are subscribed to our channel. You would be doing me a huge favor if you click on that subscribe button. It helps us grow our Go Be Great community and get this podcast out to as many people as we possibly can. The second thing, are you a small business owner that is drowning in the day-to-day operations? You're delegating tasks and you're still doing all the work. You're experiencing a high turnover. Maybe you don't have the systems and processes in place that you need to run a successful business. I invite you to go over to thejohnespinosa.com, fill out the form to see if you're the right fit. Now back to the episode. How are you intentionally connecting with your employees? How are you creating that stability through communication? And for the most part, it's not work-related conversations that I'm having whenever I'm doing these interactions. It's how are you doing? How are things going in your personal life? Not in your work life. We'll always talk about work when we get there, but we lead into it with a very personal one-on-one conversation. And you don't have to be best friends, but you do have to at least display interest in the employee themselves to create that stable environment that we're talking about here. And check-ins are one of those ways that I like to do that. And the way that I like to break it up is in a 30-minute chunk. 10 minutes are going to be anything they want to talk about. The next 10 minutes are going to be anything that I need to talk about. And then 10 minutes we're going to spend looking forward. And I find a lot of times it just naturally flows into that once you've set that routine. The second action here that I want us to challenge ourselves around when it comes to creating that stable employee environment is identify 2 predictable leadership principles that you can connect to. So I've talked about a lot this season. Go back, take a listen. Even in this episode, every single episode, I give you practical examples, absolutely free. Commit to 2 of those. And then what you're going to do is let the employees know, hey, these are 2 strategies, 2 leadership principles that I'm going to implement. If you want to have them hold you accountable, I love that. That's a great idea. And then just let them know this is how we're going to keep consistent. And continually show up through those 2 leadership principles, and that's going to create that stability that employees are going to create. So those are 2 actions for you to create that stable environment. And the last trend we're going to talk about is why employees stay with human leaders. Now, that may seem kind of a silly question to ask, but what we're talking about here is sometimes as leaders and as business owners, we put up this wall between us and the individuals that we're leading. And it may be we've been burned in the past, or it may be that we don't want to get close to our employees because then we can't discipline them or hold them accountable. I'm here to tell you that none of that is true. I'm here to tell you in my experience in working with other leaders and business owners, I find the more human you can be, the better connection that you can have. And when you do get to those difficult conversations, they're actually more receptive to having that. A lot of responses, I felt this was coming. And when that response is heard, you know that there's a connection there. And then you just have that conversation and you walk out of that conversation with mutual respect. Whether it's a negative conversation, it goes poorly or it goes positively, the conversation had, and it was your being human that was respectable. And then here also that I really think that employees have joined our teams because they can see themselves in others within the team. I am more about hiring for culture than I am expertise. I look for people who are the right fit and first and second have the expertise that I need. It only takes one employee that maybe is negative, doesn't like what they're doing, or maybe they just come in and they're not the right fit to degrade and destroy a culture of a team or an organization or a business. I've seen it too many times. And I've experienced it myself when I was a young leader, a young business owner, and I needed a position. And so what do? You go out and you hire what you think is the best qualified applicant, but has some quirks, but you need them. And you bring them into the organization, and 3 months later, you've realized you made a big mistake. So with this piece right here, why employees choose human leaders, 1, you're loyal. they can identify themselves within you as the leader and the business owner. In a couple applications to get us there, I do these Ask Me Anything sessions. And a lot of times I do ask me, what's the latest rumor that's going around? It's a fun way to kick off this Ask Me Anything. And we talk about the rumors. And some rumors I haven't heard, some I have, but we just let them out there and we talk about them and we have a really candid conversation about it. Or they'll ask me my thoughts on a particular policy or a practice or a decision that was made. And I will be honest with them. If there's something that I can't tell them, they also know that I let them know, hey, I can't discuss that right now. And they're okay with that. But these Ask Me Anything sessions have done a lot to open up our trust and our transparency in the way that we communicate with each other as a team, as a boss, manager, or business owner. And then these monthly recaps, and I've done these a couple different ways. This next month, we're doing a salsa challenge. So everybody's bringing in their favorite salsas, and we're just having a lunch and learn is what I call them, and we'll do a monthly recap. Hey, this month we achieved this. We fell short in these areas, and these are ways. What are some ideas of maybe how we can prevent this? Or maybe we've already got something in the work of best practice on how to prevent something from falling through the cracks again. But it's just a candid discussion over food. When we sit around the table, when human beings, we being human, sit around the table and share food, you'd be surprised the conversations that you can have. I've had some of the most heated conversations within our family over food, and when we all walk away, we're all friends. There's something about mixing food with not always hard conversations, but just good conversation that makes a team cohesive, brings a team closer, and when you walk away, you just feel better. So those three trends, the quiet shift, stability that employees crave, and then being human and how that creates connection, those trends, go back and listen because we've unpacked each one of those in single episodes this season. And I just can't believe that we're at the end of season 17. This speaks to really you, the listener, in your dedication, your support, the questions, all the encouragement that I get from you. It means a lot more than you know. It keeps this going. It keeps me going. It keeps me energized. And I consider all of you part of our Go Be Great team, our Go Be Great community. Thank you very much. I believe in you. Get ready because season 18 is right around the corner. Talk to everyone later. Go be great. Bye-bye. If you like what you're hearing, do us a favor. Click on that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up or leave a comment. That lets us know that what we are putting out benefits you. If you want additional information or resources or learn how to work with me, head on over to thejohnespinosa.com because when we become better versions of ourselves, it helps us get others to where they're going. Go be great. Talk to everyone later.